My war bonus was a kiss I received from the enemy commander in front of all the guards. Alex Carter floated in the cold metal corridor of the alien ship. The lights were dim, casting strange shadows on the walls. His hands were cuffed behind him, but he moved carefully, keeping his balance. The corridor smelled of oil and something sharper, a smell he could not name. He had been captured during the battle near the asteroid belt, and now he was deep inside enemy territory. The guards moved around him, tall and armored, their faces hidden behind reflective helmets. They spoke in a language he could not understand, but their gestures were clear. They wanted him to follow. Alex did not resist. Resisting would only make things worse. He had been trained for this, trained to survive, trained to stay calm. He took slow breaths and looked around. The ship was huge. Pipes ran along the ceiling and the floor vibrated with the engine's power. Sometimes he thought he could feel the ship itself watching him. He tried to focus on small things, the pattern of the floor, the shadows on the walls, the faint hum in the air. These things kept his mind sharp. The guards led him to a large chamber. It was circular, with a high ceiling and a central platform. At the far end, a figure stood. She was tall, with sharp features, her hair dark and braided tightly. Her uniform was unlike any human uniform. It gleamed in the dim light, and her boots made a heavy sound on the metal floor. She looked at Alex with interest. She did not smile, but there was curiosity in her eyes. This was Commander Lyra Voss. She was the one in charge of this station, and now she was focused on a single human who dared to stand in the middle of her empire. Alex's steps were slow. He kept his head straight, his eyes on Lyra. He felt no fear, only a strange calm. The guards behind him shifted nervously. They expected him to cower, to beg, to shout. He did none of these, he just walked. Lyra spoke, her voice sharp but not loud. "Human," she said. Alex did not answer at first. She repeated the word. "Human, you have fought well, but your empire is collapsing. Tell me, why do you keep fighting?" Alex looked at her steadily. "We fight because we must," he said simply. "Not for glory, not for power. We fight to protect each other. We fight because if we stop, there will be nothing left." A murmur ran through the guards. They did not expect a human to answer so calmly, so clearly. Lyra tilted her head. Her eyes narrowed. "Protect each other?" she asked. "You are weak. Your fleets are broken, your soldiers die easily, you have no chance." Alex nodded slowly. "I know the risk, we know the risk, but giving up is not an option. Even if we lose, we fight. Even if we fall, we fight. That is what makes us human." Lyra studied him. She could not understand fully, but she could see his courage. He was not afraid, he did not beg, he did not plead, he did not curse. He just spoke truth in a voice steady and clear. "You are brave," Lyra said finally. The words sounded strange coming from her. She turned and motioned to one of the guards. The guard stepped forward and brought a small device. Lyra held it up. "We will test you," she said. "We will see if your courage is more than words." Alex tilted his head. "I am ready," he said. He did not know what she planned, but he was ready to face it. He had faced worse on the battlefield, and this was different. This was not about skill with a gun. This was about strength of mind. The test began. Lights in the chamber shifted. A low hum filled the air. A platform in the center opened, and strange energy flowed from it. Alex felt a pull at his chest, like the air itself was heavy. He stood still. The guards watched, tense. They expected him to react, to flinch, to scream. He did none of these. He breathed slowly, keeping control. Lyra walked closer, her eyes never leaving him. "Humans call this fear," she said. "They say it can break the strongest. Let us see if it breaks you." She activated the device. Energy arcs appeared in the air, crackling and sharp. Alex felt a heat, but he did not move. His mind focused on one thing, calm. The energy passed over him, harmless. The guards gasped. They did not know humans could resist like this. "Impressive," Lyra said. She stepped back. "Few aliens could survive that without flinching." "Tell me, human, how do you stand so steady?" Alex shrugged slightly. We do not know fear the way you do. We know it, yes, but we control it. We fight not because we are fearless, but because we are determined. Fear does not stop us." Lyra studied him more closely. She noticed something else. There was no hatred in his eyes, no desire to fight her personally. He did not look for weakness, only truth. She had never seen that before in an enemy. "You speak of protection," she said quietly, "but you are alone here. Your fleet is far. Your men are dead or captured. Who do you protect now?" Alex looked around. He did not answer immediately. He thought of his crew, of the soldiers who had fallen beside him, of the families on human planets waiting for news. "I protect what I can," he said finally. "Even one life is worth saving. Even one chance to survive is worth fighting for. We never stop." Lyra walked slowly around him, observing. The guards felt tension in the air. They did not know what Lyra was planning. Some thought she would punish him, others thought she would execute him. Alex waited quietly, trusting neither but ready for whatever came. Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. A message flashed on the screen behind Lyra. Human ships had attacked another sector nearby. Reports of a battle came quickly, with details of damage and casualties. Lyra frowned. The Empire had underestimated humans again. "It seems your people do not give up," she said. Her voice had a trace of surprise. She turned to Alex fully. "You are not like the others I have captured. You are different." Alex nodded slowly. "Every human is different," he said. "We all fight in our own way, some with guns, some with minds, some with hope. We all fight." Lyra studied him in silence. The guards shifted uneasily. She had not expected respect from a human. She had not expected courage without hatred. The energy device still hummed faintly behind her, but she no longer thought of using it. "Perhaps," she said finally, "there is more to your species than I thought." She paused. "We will see if your courage holds. The Empire will not bend easily, but you do not break." Alex did not reply. He only stood calm, watching the commander, understanding her curiosity. He did not need to speak further. His calmness, his clarity, his simple human courage said enough. The day passed slowly. Alex was held in the chamber under watch, but he was not harmed. Lyra came often to speak with him, asking questions about humans, about war, about hope. Alex answered honestly. The guards whispered among themselves, astonished at the exchanges. Some began to wonder if humans were stronger than they had thought. As night fell on the station, Alex sat quietly on the cold floor. He thought of the stars far above, of the planets he had left behind. He thought of his crew and the hope that they had survived. He thought of the war and how even in defeat humans never gave up. The chamber lights dimmed. Lyra's voice called out once more. "Rest, human. We will continue tomorrow." Alex closed his eyes briefly, letting the moment pass. He was still a prisoner, still in enemy hands, but he felt no fear. He felt determination. He felt what humans always felt in the darkest times, hope. And deep inside, he knew that this was only the beginning. The Empire had captured him, but they had not captured his spirit. They could control his body, but never his mind. He would survive, and when the time came, humans would strike back. The cold metal corridor waited for him. The guards waited for orders, and Commander Lyra watched him carefully. The first part of this story had begun, and already the galaxy would notice the quiet strength of one human standing tall among enemies. Alex woke to the faint hum of the alien station. The lights were dim, and the metallic floor felt cold under him. The guards had left him alone for now, but he did not feel safe. Every sound seemed amplified in the quiet corridors. He stood slowly and stretched his arms, still cuffed but careful not to make a sudden move. He knew the guards watched from nearby, even if he could not see them. He thought about Commander Lyra Voss. She had not harmed him yet. In fact, she had spoken with curiosity instead of anger. It was strange. Humans rarely met enemies who showed interest rather than hatred. Alex tried to remember every detail about her. The way she walked, The cold precision in her eyes, the slight tilt of her head when she questioned him. It helped him plan, helped him stay alert. After a few minutes, the door opened. Two guards stepped in, motioning for him to follow. Alex obeyed without resistance. He moved quietly, observing the corridor. Strange markings covered the walls, glowing faintly in patterns he could not understand. The air smelled sharp, a mix of metal, oil, and something like electricity. He kept his breathing steady and walked with purpose, even though every step took him further into the alien station. They brought him to another chamber. It was smaller than the first, but bright lights shone from the ceiling. In the center, a table held devices he did not recognize. Lyra stood near the table, her arms crossed. When Alex entered, she did not greet him. She waited, watching his movements closely. "Human," she said finally. Her voice was calm but firm. "Sit." She gestured to a chair. Alex obeyed, keeping his eyes on her. "You have survived your first test," she continued. "Most humans break immediately. They panic, they beg for mercy. You did not. Why?" Alex thought for a moment. He wanted to answer truthfully. "I do not believe in breaking," he said simply. "Fear is natural, but it cannot control me. I fight with my mind as well as my body. You can take my body, but you cannot take my mind." Lyra nodded slightly. She seemed surprised at the answer. She leaned forward, resting her hands on the table. "You are different from other humans I have captured," she said. "You do not act like one who is desperate. You act like one who believes in something larger than yourself." "What is it that drives you?" Alex met her eyes. "Hope," he said. "Hope for my people, hope for my friends, hope for a future. Even if the odds are against us, hope keeps us moving. Without hope, we are nothing." Lyra studied him carefully. She had met thousands of enemies, but few spoke with such clarity. Most humans screamed or cried when captured. Most begged or tried to trick her. Alex had done none of these. He had not lied. He had not begged. He had not shown weakness. "And yet your fleet is far away," she said. "Your soldiers are dead or captured. What hope do you have now?" Alex smiled faintly, a small curve of his lips. "Hope does not depend on numbers," he said. "It depends on what you are willing to do. Even one human can change the course of many. Even one choice can matter. I do what I can where I am, and that is enough." Lyra leaned back. She seemed thoughtful, almost troubled. The guards shifted behind him, uneasy at the exchange. They had never seen a human speak so calmly to a commander. Some whispered to each other, wondering if humans were stronger than they had believed. "Very well," Lyra said finally. "Let us continue. I have more questions. Your species has fought for centuries, yet you still resist. What is it that makes you continue when the universe seems against you?" Alex thought carefully. He wanted to answer truthfully but simply. "We fight because we care," he said. "We fight for each other, not for power or glory. We fight because giving up is not an option. If we stop, everything we love is lost. Humans survive because we care, because we try, because we never stop." Lyra studied him in silence. She did not like the answer, yet she could not dismiss it. She had seen countless species crumble under pressure, but humans were different. She felt a strange respect, though she would not admit it. "You speak of care," she said slowly, "but you are alone here. Your fleet is gone. Your friends may be dead. Who do you care for now?" Alex's eyes softened slightly, though he did not lower them. "For those who can still be saved," he said. "Even one life, even one chance, it is enough to keep fighting." The room fell silent. Lyra seemed lost in thought. She had not expected the human to answer so simply and with such strength. The guards waited tensely, unsure if she would punish him. She did not. Instead, she took a step back and folded her arms. "You are strong," she said finally. "Not with weapons, but with your mind. Most aliens could not endure what you have endured and remain calm. Most would have broken. You have not." Alex nodded. "Strength is not only in fighting," he said. "It is in surviving. It is in choosing to act, even when the odds are against you. Humans endure because we choose to endure. We fight because it is right, not because it is easy. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. She considered him carefully. She had met many human prisoners, but few had shown this kind of resilience. She felt a flicker of curiosity, an emotion she rarely allowed herself. What made this human different from all the others? She could not say. Suddenly, alarms sounded throughout the station. Red lights flashed and the hum of the engines grew louder. Alex looked toward the door. The guards moved quickly, speaking urgently in their language. Lyra's eyes sharpened. She stepped forward and gestured to Alex. "Remain calm," she said. "Do not move unless ordered." Alex stayed still, watching the activity. He could hear the sounds of ships outside, engines and weapons firing. His heart remained steady. He knew the humans were fighting nearby. They had not given up. Lyra turned to a guard. "Prepare the communication link," she ordered. "We need information immediately." The guard activated a device, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed ships, explosions, and numbers. Alex recognized some of the human insignias. The humans had attacked a different sector, winning a small but important battle. Lyra's expression hardened. She had underestimated humans again. She had thought them weak, easy to break, but here was proof of their persistence. She looked at Alex. "It seems your species does not give up, even when the situation is hopeless," she said quietly. Alex nodded slightly. "We never give up," he said simply. "It is not in our nature. We fight to survive, and we fight for each other. Numbers and power matter, yes, but determination matters more. We never stop." Lyra studied him again. She had expected fear or rage or submission. Instead, she saw calm, focus, and honesty. She realized that humans were unlike any species she had encountered. She could not explain it, but she understood that this human was telling the truth. He would not break, no matter what she did. The day passed slowly. Lyra asked more questions about human culture, about their war tactics, about how they motivated their soldiers. Alex answered honestly, never lying, never showing fear. He spoke of teamwork, of loyalty, of courage. The guards listened silently, astonished at the exchange. Some whispered among themselves, wondering if humans were stronger than they had imagined. As night fell on the station, Alex was allowed to rest. He sat quietly, thinking about the stars and planets far away. He thought of his crew, wondering if they had survived. He thought of the war and how humans always fought, even when the odds were against them. He felt calm and focused, knowing that surviving the day was a victory in itself. Lyra watched him from a distance. She did not approach, but she observed. She had not expected to find respect for a human in her heart, yet here it was. She felt something strange, a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and caution. She did not trust it, but she could not ignore it. Alex closed his eyes briefly. He did not sleep, but he rested. He remained alert, aware of the sounds, the lights, the guards. He was a prisoner, yes, but he was not broken. He was a human, and he knew that humans endured even in the darkest moments. As the hours passed, he thought of what tomorrow would bring. More questions, perhaps more tests, but he did not fear them. He was ready. He was determined, and he would survive as humans always did. The first day of questioning had ended. The alien station was alive with activity, but Alex remained calm in the center of it all. The humans had won small victories elsewhere, and he had survived the first trial. The war was far from over, but the human spirit, quiet and unyielding, had already made its mark. The enemy had captured his body, but they could not capture his courage. They could not capture his hope. And as long as Alex Carter remained alive, there would always be a human story to tell, one of survival, of resistance, and of quiet strength in the face of impossible odds. The next morning, Alex woke to the sound of engines thrumming through the station. The hum was louder than usual, and the red warning lights flashed faintly. The air smelled metallic, sharper than yesterday. He rose from the cold floor, stretching carefully, and waited. He knew that Lyra would come soon. She always observed before speaking, and he wanted to be ready. The door opened, and two guards motioned for him to follow. Alex walked calmly, his eyes scanning the corridor. The walls had strange markings that glowed faintly, like yesterday. The corridor seemed longer today, as if the ship itself had grown around him. The guards spoke rapidly in their alien language, but he did not need to understand the words. Their body language said enough. They were tense, wary. They brought him to the central chamber. Lyra stood near the table, her posture rigid. Her dark eyes focused on him immediately, and for a moment Alex felt the weight of her gaze. She did not smile, did not greet him. She simply watched. "Human," she said finally, her voice calm but firm. "I have received news from the outer sectors. Your fleet has made another move. Tell me, why do you fight when your chances are so small?" Alex kept his voice steady. "We fight because we must," he said simply. "Even when the odds are against us, even when it seems hopeless. Stopping is not an option. We fight to protect what we love and what we can save. That is why we fight." Lyra's eyes narrowed. She did not like the answer, but she could not ignore it. She had fought many wars, crushed many enemies, yet humans seemed different. They did not yield. They did not fear in the way other species feared. She had expected broken men, weak, desperate. Alex was none of these. "Your fleet is far away," she said. "Your people are dead or captured. What makes you believe you can succeed?" Alex's lips curved faintly. "Success is not always in numbers," he said. "Success is in trying, in enduring, in never giving up. Even one life saved is a victory. Even one choice made with courage is a victory. We fight because it is right, not because we are sure we will win." Lyra leaned forward, resting her hands on the table. "Humans speak strangely," she said. "You speak of courage and hope, but most species speak of strength, power, and fear. What makes your species continue when all seems lost?" Alex thought carefully. He did not want to lie, but he wanted her to understand. "We fight because we care," he said. "We care for each other, for our families, for our future. We fight because giving up is never the answer. Even if we fall, we fight. Even if we lose, we fight. That is what makes us human." Lyra studied him. She did not like the truth, yet she could not deny it. She had expected despair, not this calm honesty. She had expected fear, not steady courage. Something about this human puzzled her. He was not just brave, he was steady, clear, and unwavering. "Your courage is unusual," she said quietly. "Few could endure as you do. Few would not break under pressure. Yet you remain calm. Tell me, human, have you ever feared death?" Alex looked at her evenly. "Fear is natural," he said, "but it does not control me. We feel fear, yes, but we do not let it stop us. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting even when you are afraid. Humans endure because we act, because we hope, and because we care. Fear is part of the process, not the end." Lyra's expression softened slightly, though she did not admit it. She had never heard such words from a prisoner. She had never seen a human so composed under pressure. Her guards whispered among themselves. They had expected terror, yet Alex showed none. Some began to doubt what they had been taught about humans. Suddenly, the alarm blared louder. Red lights filled the chamber, casting strange shadows. The hum of the engines grew, and the floor vibrated. Alex remained calm, but he could feel the tension. The station was under alert. Something was happening outside. Lyra turned quickly to the communication device on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing human ships engaging enemy forces. Explosions dotted the space around them, and smoke and debris trailed behind damaged ships. Alex recognized the symbols of his fleet. They had fought hard, winning a small but important victory. "They do not stop," Lyra muttered, almost to herself. "Even when we thought them weak, they resist. They continue. Why do they not yield?" Alex met her eyes. "Because humans never give up," he said. "We endure because we must. We survive because we care. We fight because it is right. Surrender is not an option unless there is a better choice to save lives. We continue because hope exists, and we never let it die. Lyra stepped back, absorbing his words. She had faced many species, many enemies, and yet humans seemed unlike any she had known. There was a strange power in their simplicity, in their endurance, in their determination. She felt curiosity, admiration, and a hint of unease. "I will test you further," she said finally. "The Empire will not bend easily. Your courage must prove itself under greater pressure. Your mind will be tested, your will be tested. We will see if humans endure when everything is against them." Alex nodded slightly. He did not fear the test. He had faced impossible situations before, and he knew that calm and clarity could survive what fear and anger could not. He would endure, as he always had. The next hours passed with questioning and observation. Lyra asked about human tactics, how they motivated soldiers, how they handled fear, and how they survived despite being outnumbered. Alex answered honestly, never hiding truth, never speaking falsehoods. The guards watched silently, astonished at his composure. Some whispered among themselves, doubting what they had been taught about humans. Then, news arrived. More human ships had moved into another sector, striking against the enemy fleet. Their movements were coordinated, precise, and unexpected. The alien officers monitoring the battle exchanged worried glances. The humans had achieved a victory that should have been impossible. Lyra's expression hardened. She had underestimated them. Again, she looked at Alex. "Your people continue to surprise," she said. "Even when we control the battle, they adapt, they survive, they fight back. They are stronger than we imagined." Alex nodded quietly. "We endure because we must. We fight because we care. Your empire may be powerful, but power alone does not win. Determination, courage, and hope make humans strong. We fight for more than survival. We fight for what is right." Lyra paced slowly in the chamber, deep in thought. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. She had not expected to find respect for a human in her own mind. She did not trust the feeling, yet she could not ignore it. Alex's calm courage, his clear honesty, and his quiet strength challenged everything she believed about the galaxy, about enemies, and about humans. "You speak of hope," she said finally, her voice softer. "Yet you are here, captured, alone. How do you maintain hope when your fleet is far, when your friends may be dead, when the Empire surrounds you?" Alex looked around the chamber, then back at her. "Hope is not only for the living," he said. "Hope is for what we protect, for what we can still save. Even in darkness, even in despair, hope guides us. We endure because we believe that tomorrow can be better, even if we may not see it ourselves." Lyra paused. She had never heard such words from a prisoner. She had expected despair, panic, or rage. Instead, she heard clarity, courage, and quiet determination. She felt something unfamiliar, respect. She did not show it, but she felt it. The day continued with more questions and discussions. Alex answered each one calmly, never raising his voice, never showing fear, never yielding. The guards watched in awe and confusion. The Empire had captured many enemies, but few had ever remained so composed, so honest, so unbroken. As night fell, Alex was allowed to rest. He sat quietly on the cold floor, thinking of the stars far above, of planets he had left behind, of his friends and crew. He felt calm. He felt determined. He felt the quiet strength of being human. Lyra observed him from a distance. She did not approach, but she watched. She could not explain it, but she felt curiosity and a strange admiration. This human was not like the others. He had endured, he had remained calm, he had shown courage without arrogance or rage. He had survived the first true test, and she knew there would be more. Alex closed his eyes briefly, listening to the hum of the station. He was a prisoner, yes, but he was not defeated. He was alive. He was human, and humans endured no matter what. Outside, the galaxy burned with war, but inside the station, one human remained calm and resolute, a symbol of quiet strength and determination. The Empire could control his body, but they could not control his mind. They could not crush his spirit. Alex Carter would endure, and when the time came, humans would fight back with courage and hope that no alien empire could break. The day ended with tension and quiet reflection. The Empire had captured him, but they had not captured what made humans strong: courage, determination, and hope. And deep inside, both Alex and Lyra knew that this was only the beginning of a story that would change everything. The next morning, Alex woke to a softer hum in the station. The red warning lights were gone, replaced by steady white ones. The corridors seemed quieter, but he did not trust the calm. The Empire's silence often meant something was coming. He rose slowly, stretching his stiff muscles, and waited. As expected, the guards arrived. This time they did not speak, only gestured for him to follow. Alex walked steadily, his eyes moving over the corridor, noticing details he had missed before. The walls had panels with glowing symbols, some of which shifted slowly. The floor vibrated faintly under his feet, the engines powering the massive station. He wondered how many ships were docked outside, how many soldiers prepared for battle. He did not show fear. He had learned to remain calm, no matter the danger. They brought him to the central chamber again. Lyra stood near the table, her posture more relaxed than yesterday. She did not smile, but her expression was less rigid. Alex noticed the change. She was considering something, thinking, planning. The guard stood behind him, tense as always, unsure of what would happen. "Human," Lyra said finally, her voice calm but firm. "News from the front has arrived. Your fleet continues to act unexpectedly. Your people have taken a position we did not expect. Tell me, how do they plan so well when your forces are few?" Alex looked at her steadily. "We plan because we must," he said simply. "Even small numbers can do great things if we are determined. Humans adapt, we watch, we think, and we act together. Power is not only in numbers. Power is in courage, in coordination, in hope." Lyra studied him. She had underestimated humans before. She had thought they would panic, break, or retreat. Instead, they fought with intelligence, with courage, and with persistence. She turned to one of the guards. "Report the status of our fleets," she ordered. The guard spoke quickly, and the holographic display lit up the chamber. Ships moved across sectors, some destroyed, some damaged, some holding ground. The humans had taken a key position, holding it against overwhelming odds. Lyra's brow furrowed. She had thought this station could contain them, but her calculations had been wrong. The humans were more resilient than she had imagined. Alex nodded slightly. "Your empire may be powerful," he said quietly, "but humans endure because we never stop. We fight because we care, not because we are sure of winning. We fight because it is right." Lyra paced slowly. Her boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. She looked at Alex as if weighing him, studying him not as a prisoner but as something else. Curiosity, admiration, a strange respect she could not admit. "Human," she said finally, "you survive when most would break. You speak of hope, yet you are alone. Your fleet is far, your comrades may be dead, your empire surrounds you. How do you keep this hope alive?" Alex met her gaze calmly. "Hope is not just for the living," he said. "Hope is for what we protect, for what can still be saved. Even one life is worth fighting for. Even one chance is worth taking. Hope gives us courage to act, even when everything seems lost." Lyra paused, considering his words. She had not expected honesty like this from a prisoner. She had expected fear or rage or desperation. Instead, she found clarity, courage, and determination. The guards whispered among themselves. They had never seen a human like this. Some felt doubt about what they had been taught. "Very well," Lyra said finally. "We will test you further. The Empire has plans to crush resistance. Your courage must prove itself under pressure greater than you have faced before. Your mind, your will, and your determination will be challenged." Alex did not flinch. He had faced impossible situations on the battlefield. He had survived ambushes, explosions, and overwhelming enemies. He had endured hunger, cold, fear. He was ready to endure more. "I am ready," he said simply. The day passed slowly. Lyra asked questions, observing Alex carefully. She asked about human strategy, about how they motivated soldiers, about how they survived when surrounded. Alex answered honestly, calmly, and clearly. He never raised his voice. He never lied, he never showed fear. The guards watched silently, astonished at his composure. Some whispered doubts, some whispered admiration. Then reports arrived of a new human maneuver. The humans had struck an enemy fleet in a daring move, capturing a small but strategic sector. The alien officers monitoring the battle exchanged worried looks. The humans, though outnumbered, were adapting, surviving, and winning. Lyra's face darkened. She had underestimated them again. She turned to Alex. "Your people continue to surprise," she said quietly. "Even when we control the battle, they resist, they adapt, they fight back. They are stronger than we imagined." Alex nodded. "Humans endure because we care. We fight because it is right. We do not give up no matter the odds." Lyra studied him in silence. She had met many species, many prisoners. Few had shown such composure, honesty, and courage. She felt something she had never felt before for an enemy: respect. She did not admit it, but she felt it. The guards shifted uneasily. They sensed something changing. The hours passed. Lyra moved around the chamber, her eyes never leaving Alex. She asked more questions about human life, about war, about courage. Alex answered with calm honesty. The guards whispered among themselves. Some began to doubt the Empire's judgment. Humans were not weak. Humans were different. Humans endured. Finally, Lyra spoke, her voice quieter now. "You are brave, human. Few could survive as you have. Few would speak as you do. You are different from all I have captured. Why do you endure?" Alex looked at her steadily. "I endure because it is necessary. I endure because hope exists. I endure because others depend on me. I endure because giving up is never the right choice. Humans survive because we must, because we care, and because we act even when it is hard." Lyra paused. She felt something she could not name: curiosity, admiration, and a strange respect for a human who had endured so much. She looked at the guards. "Release him for now," she ordered. The guards hesitated. Releasing a prisoner was unheard of, but Lyra did not repeat the order. They obeyed reluctantly. Alex stepped back carefully, his hands still cuffed. He did not show surprise or anger. He only watched. Lyra walked toward him slowly. She stopped a short distance away. The guards tensed, unsure what she would do. Then, in front of all the guards, she did something no one expected. She leaned forward and kissed him briefly on the cheek. The room went silent. The guards froze. They did not know what to say, what to do. Lyra straightened and spoke again. "This is a sign," she said. "A choice, a symbol. The war may continue, but respect can exist. You survive because you endure. You fight because you care. Remember this, human, you are different." Alex did not respond immediately. He did not smile or bow. He simply nodded slightly, understanding the meaning. The kiss was not a victory nor a defeat. It was recognition, respect, a strange moment in a galaxy at war. The guards whispered among themselves. Some felt shock, others disbelief. They had never seen a commander show such acknowledgement to an enemy. Lyra did not care. She had made her decision. She had seen courage, honesty, and hope in a human who had endured against all odds. Alex stepped back, keeping calm. He was still a prisoner, still under watch, but the gesture had changed something. The tension in the room shifted. The guards, even if unwillingly, felt respect for him. The Empire had captured his body, but it could not capture his courage, his honesty, or his spirit. Lyra studied him one last time. She would not admit it, but she felt something unfamiliar, a mixture of curiosity, respect, and perhaps understanding. She turned away from him and gestured for the guards to leave the room. Alex was left standing alone, thinking quietly. He considered what had just happened. The kiss was strange, unexpected, but it was also a symbol. It meant that courage and honesty mattered, even in war. It meant that humans could earn respect from enemies through endurance and clarity. It meant that even in a galaxy at war, moments of understanding could exist. As the hours passed, Alex sat quietly, reflecting. He thought of the stars, of the planets, of his crew, of humans fighting across the galaxy. He felt calm. He felt hope. He felt the quiet strength of humanity, enduring against impossible odds. Outside, the galaxy burned with conflict, but inside the station, one human had earned a strange acknowledgement from an enemy commander. The Empire had captured his body, but it could not capture his mind, his courage, or his hope. Alex Carter remained alive, and the story of humans enduring, fighting, and standing strong had already begun to change the course of events. The day ended with quiet reflection. Lyra returned to her private chamber, thinking of the human who had endured so much and shown so clearly what it meant to be alive, brave, and honest. She could not explain it fully, but she knew that this human had done something no one else had done. He had made her see humans differently. Alex sat in the chamber, aware of the quiet hum of the station. He was a prisoner, yes, but he was not defeated. He had survived tests, endured questioning, and faced the reality of being surrounded by an enemy. He had maintained courage, honesty, and calm. He had even earned an unexpected acknowledgement from the commander. The war was far from over, but a small victory had been won. Not in battle, not in destruction, but in endurance, honesty, and human strength. And deep inside, both Alex and Lyra knew that this moment, the strange, quiet recognition in the middle of a war, would change everything. The galaxy might still burn, but humanity had already made its mark through courage, determination, and hope that no empire could crush. The morning after the unexpected gesture, Alex Carter woke to quiet corridors. The hum of the alien station was steady, and the lights shone pale white. He stretched his arms slowly, feeling the stiffness from sitting and waiting so long. He was still a prisoner, but something had changed. The tension in the air was different, lighter in some ways, heavier in others. He could feel the Empire's uncertainty, the shift caused by a single act that no one expected. The guards appeared, silent as usual, and motioned for him to follow. Alex walked steadily, observing the details of the station. He noticed the way the lights reflected off the metal walls, the faint vibrations of the engines, and the small panels that glowed softly. The guards spoke to each other in rapid tones he did not understand, but their body language told him all he needed. They were cautious, unsettled, unsure what their commander intended. He was led to the central chamber once again. Commander Lyra Voss stood near the table, her posture calm, her expression thoughtful. She looked at Alex with eyes that seemed to hold both calculation and reflection. The guards stood behind him, tense as always. The moment felt heavier than before, charged with meaning. "Human," Lyra said finally, her voice measured, "the Empire has underestimated your species at every turn. Your fleet continues to act unpredictably, your soldiers survive against odds, and your people fight with courage we did not expect. You are remarkable." Alex nodded calmly. "Humans endure because we care," he said. "We fight because it is right. Even when hope seems small, we fight. Even when we are few, we act. Courage and care give us strength, not only weapons." Lyra paused, her gaze studying him carefully. She did not smile, but there was a hint of understanding in her eyes. She motioned to the holographic display on the table. The map of the battle sector appeared, showing human ships moving in precise formations, outmaneuvering larger enemy fleets, striking where least expected. Alien officers watched the display with concern, whispering urgently. "Your people are more clever than we imagined," Lyra said quietly. "Even when surrounded, even when outnumbered, they adapt. They survive. They fight. Why do they continue when the situation seems hopeless?" Alex's voice was steady. "We fight for each other," he said. "We fight for what can still be saved. Even one life, even one chance is worth everything. Surrender is only an option if it saves others. Humans endure because we act, because we care, and because we hope." The room was quiet for a moment. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. They had never heard a human speak so calmly in the face of power and danger. Some began to wonder if humans were indeed stronger than the Empire had believed. Then, alarms sounded across the station. Red lights flashed, and the hum of engines grew louder. A new battle had begun. Human ships attacked another sector with precision and courage, taking out key positions and causing confusion in the enemy ranks. The holographic display showed the chaos and the success. Lyra frowned. The humans were defying expectation again. "They do not stop," she muttered. "Even when we control the battle, they resist, they fight back, they adapt, they endure. Why do they not yield?" Alex met her eyes. "Humans endure because we must," he said. "We endure because giving up is never the right choice. We fight because it is right. Power alone does not win wars. Determination, courage, and hope win." Lyra studied him in silence. She had seen countless enemies, many defeated, many broken. Few had survived so much and remained so calm. Few had spoken with such clarity and honesty. The respect she felt for him grew, though she did not admit it openly. The hours passed. Lyra questioned him about human tactics, about the motivation behind their courage, about how they survived when surrounded. Alex answered with calm honesty. He never raised his voice, never lied, never showed fear. The guards watched silently, astonished by his composure. Some whispered among themselves, doubting what they had been taught about humans. Finally, Lyra spoke. "You are brave, human," she said quietly. "You endure when most would break. Few would speak as you do. You are different from all I have captured. I respect that." Alex nodded, accepting the acknowledgement. He did not show arrogance or pride. He only understood the meaning. Respect from an enemy commander was not a victory in battle, but it was a recognition of courage, endurance, and strength. It was rare, precious, and powerful. Then Lyra made a decision that shocked everyone. She stepped forward in front of all the guards and spoke clearly. "This human has survived tests, endured hardships, and shown courage we rarely see. He will be released, not because of weakness, but because of respect. His courage is a sign of what humans truly are." The guards looked around in confusion. Releasing a prisoner, especially one of such importance, was unheard of. Yet Lyra's voice was firm. She had made her choice. She would not change it. Alex was brought forward. His hands were still cuffed, but he remained calm. Lyra stepped closer. The room fell silent. The guards held their breath. Then Lyra did something that no one expected. She leaned forward and kissed Alex lightly on the cheek. The gesture was quick but deliberate. The room went silent. The guards froze. Whispers ran through the ranks. No one had ever seen a commander show such acknowledgement to a prisoner. The kiss was not a reward nor a mockery. It was respect, recognition. A sign that courage, honesty, and endurance mattered even in war. Alex did not react outwardly. He nodded slightly, understanding the meaning. He did not smile, he did not bow, he did not speak. The moment was enough. It was a symbol of what humans could achieve, not through weapons or numbers, but through courage, determination, and hope. Lyra straightened and spoke to the guards. "Remember this. Even in war, respect is possible. Even in battle, courage matters. This human has earned it, and we will honor it. He may leave, and his people may continue to fight, but we will remember what strength truly means." Alex was escorted to the shuttle that would take him back to human territory. He walked calmly, still under watch, but his mind was clear. The galaxy had witnessed a small but important moment. A human had endured, fought, and earned respect from an enemy commander. As the shuttle prepared for launch, Alex looked back at the station. Lyra stood at the window, watching him. There was no hostility in her gaze, only acknowledgement. She had seen what humans could endure, what courage could accomplish, and what hope could inspire. It was a lesson she would not forget. The shuttle left the station and moved through space. Alex sat quietly, thinking of the stars and planets, of his crew and allies, and of the battles ahead. He knew the war was far from over, but humans had already won a small but important victory. It was not a victory in battle, but in spirit, in courage, and in endurance. He thought of the kiss, the moment of acknowledgement and what it meant. It was strange, unexpected, but it carried weight. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, respect, honor, and courage could exist. It was a sign that humanity's strength was not just in weapons, ships, or numbers. It was in their hearts, their minds, and their determination to endure. The news of the gesture spread quickly among human fleets. They were surprised, astonished, and inspired. The story of Alex Carter, the human who had endured capture, answered questions calmly, survived tests, and received acknowledgement from an enemy commander, became a symbol. It reminded humans that courage, hope, and endurance mattered more than fear or despair. Lyra returned to her command room. She reflected on what had happened. She had underestimated humans, and now she could not. She had seen a strength she had not expected. Respect had been earned, and though it did not end the war, it changed how she viewed her enemies. It was a moment of clarity and understanding that would guide her decisions in the battles ahead. Alex reached human space. He was welcomed with relief and admiration. His survival, his composure, and the story of the acknowledgement from the enemy commander inspired his people. Soldiers, officers, and civilians all learned that courage, honesty, and endurance could create small but powerful victories. He recounted the events to his superiors. He did not boast, he only described what had happened. The shuttle, the station, the questioning, the small but meaningful recognition. The story spread quickly. Humans everywhere were inspired by the idea that strength came not just from weapons, but from courage and determination. The war continued, but humans fought with renewed spirit. They knew that even in the face of overwhelming odds, endurance, courage, and hope could change outcomes. They remembered Alex's calmness, his honesty, and the respect he had earned. It became a lesson in perseverance, a story told to soldiers before battle, a reminder of what it meant to be human. Lyra continued to lead her forces, but she could not forget the human who had stood calmly before her. She respected him, though she would not admit it openly. She had seen strength, honesty, and courage in a way she had not expected. It changed her view of humans and of the galaxy itself. Alex Carter returned to his fleet. He resumed his duties, but he carried more than orders and strategy. He carried the quiet knowledge that humans could endure anything. The Empire had captured his body, but it had never touched his spirit. The kiss, the acknowledgement, and the story of his courage became a legend among humans and a lesson even among aliens. In the end, the war was far from over, but a small victory had been won. Not in battle, not in destruction, but in courage, endurance, and hope. Humans had shown that strength comes from the heart, the mind, and the willingness to act even in impossible situations. And Alex Carter, the human who endured, survived, and was acknowledged by an enemy commander, became a symbol of humanity's quiet but unyielding power. The galaxy would remember the story. My war bonus was a kiss I received from the enemy commander in front of all the guards. It was strange, unexpected, but it carried meaning. It reminded everyone that courage, respect, and hope could exist even in war. And for humans, it became a story told for generations, of endurance, honesty, and the quiet strength that makes them unbreakable.